The Houston Texans might draft a running back earlier than you would expect. Let's talk about it. This is the Texans Better Talk Show. Been away for a bit, but I'm back. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily Texans content. Look, I know it doesn't seem like it right now. I know there are other pressing needs, but the Houston Texans might actually draft a running back a lot earlier than I think a lot of fans and other people tend to think when we're talking about this amazing running back class. And what are the reasons for that? Well, the first thing is an aging Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is 28 years old, has had 8 seasons in the NFL, and they've been phenomenal seasons. Last season, 245 carries with the Texans, over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. Joe Mixon was the reason the Houston Texans won a couple of games last year. He was a huge component as well, just in the success of the overall season. Even in that last game against the KC in the divisional, scoring that touchdown in the third quarter to almost put us, even with KC until Fairbairn misses the extra point. But Joe Mixon has been your hero back. And look, the reality is the running back fall off happens at some point. I'm not saying it's going to happen to Joe next year. It could. I really hope it doesn't. Not saying it's going to happen the year after that. But we know that the age seems to catch up to all running backs at some point. Even Derrick Henry, who I believe is 31, but yeah, Joe Mixon is still catching up in age. And look, this past season did a lot for running backs in general. This past season really showed that running backs can make offensive lines look better. They can be factors in the NFL, and maybe you guys should pay more attention to paying running backs. That seemed to be kind of the consensus message. But anyway, some other reasons. This is an amazing running back class. There are dudes in every single round of this class. Also, the Texans have no running back two. Their running back two right now is Dameon Pierce, who had 40 carries, 293 yards, and 2 touchdowns in junk time, really. They did not trust Dameon Pierce that much. He did get a couple of touches against KC. I don't know if Nick Caley is going to work on Dameon Pierce, or I don't know if Nick Caley is going to say, hey, we need to draft a guy. But regardless, these are some reasons why I think the Houston Texans could look for a running back early in the draft. So let's talk about some third-round targets. Now, these are third-round targets that you could pick up either at 79 or at 89. The first guy, DJ Giddens, coming out of Kansas State, 6 feet 1 inch tall, 212 pounds. He's got good eyes, patience, and anticipation. Loves finding open space between the tackles, and he has good long speed. He needs to play with more violence, according to PFF. But he's a rotational piece. All of these guys are obviously going to be rotational pieces. Devin Neal, the Texans seem to kind of have an interest in. They've spoken to him a couple of times. He was one of the most productive running backs in the college season. If I can pull up so 1,200 yards in 2024, 1,200 yards in 2023, and 1,000 yards in 2022. So one thing you could look at is maybe don't know how much tread on the tire is left. He has had significant carries in the past years, but he's still been very solid. 5'11", 215. RJ Harvey's another name coming out of UCF. 5'9", 208 pounds, so a little bit of a smaller back, but still really he's able to make people miss. Plays with a lot of violence, plays with some urgency, but he also brings some production in the passing game as well. And then finally, to talk about Damian Martinez, who I thought I had. Yeah, here we go. Damian Martinez from Florida, 6 feet tall, 232 pounds. So he's looking to run through some people. He has good size, very high missed tackle rate, which is good when you're looking at a guy that big. You want to see if they're able to make people miss. And he will be extremely physical in the run game. So these are 4 guys you could kind of look at between that 70 to 89 range. Now, the good thick part of the running back draft really happens in the second round. I think these second round targets are some of the best maybe ever in terms of who you could pick. Now, you would have to be picking a running back at pick 58, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like that. But if you choose to do that, there are some dudes at 58 that you could talk to, or you could look at. Let's start with Quinshon Judkins, kind of the lightning part of that Ohio State offense. Strong north to south runner, really good speed and power from his size. There were some questions about him looking a little less physical this year, looking like his head wasn't as in the game. I didn't necessarily see that. Some scouts are believing that he'll need a great offensive line to be successful. I don't necessarily believe that either, but regardless to say he was a dude coming home with a national championship. Quinshon Judkins kind of like the lightning to the Ohio State running game. And now let's talk about Trayvon Henderson, who was more of the thunder at 5'10", 208. Look, he's really high IQ back, really able to pass block as well, which you like to see. Decent speed, not amazing speed, and also a pretty good receiver. So Trayvon Henderson would be a nice addition to Joe Mixon. And when you're looking at these guys, you really want to make sure that they're the right guy to kind of pair with Joe Mixon, at least for a few years before you start handing them the reins or looking for another back. I'll talk about Caleb Johnson next. Caleb Johnson's where it starts getting pretty decent up there. Very gifted running back. He can be, in my opinion, a hero back. He can do everything. Can work a little bit on the pass game, but Iowa never really asked him to do that. Look, the Iowa offense is run the football, run the football, run the football. That's what they do, and all the defenses knew that, and Caleb Johnson was able to put up 1,500 yards, which is great production, which is what you like to see. Also had 190 receiving yards, so there's definitely still some production in the receiving area. Now, PFF says that his lack of reliability in third down situations could keep him from being an every down running back. I mean, what are we talking about? I think he's fine on the third downs. Yeah, you put him behind a decent offensive line. I think Caleb Johnson will be a problem. I think out of everyone on this list, he probably goes the highest. Then we'll talk about Cam Scatterbo. Scatterbo, there's not much needed to be said about Scatterbo. Plays with a massive chip on his shoulder. Really good balance, best balance out of the guys in here, being able to break tackles, being able to be consistent. He was the guy who carried Arizona State in those playoff games. He can be a 3-down back, and a lot of people for some reason seem to hate on this guy, seem to doubt that he can be a 3-round back. Cam Scatterbo can be a 3-round back. But my favorite back to pair with Joe Mixon on the Houston Texans would be Sampson. He's a fast back. Dylan Sampson gives you speed. He has explosiveness, but he's not just speed. He also has good vision, good patience. He has big play potential behind any blocking scheme. Could also develop into a receiver. I think Joe Mixon could teach him a lot about the receiving aspect of the game as well. Did have some fumbles that we don't love to see, but 1,400 yards in 2024, 600 in 2023, 300 in 2022. So he's been becoming the starter, he's been just averaging more and more yards. Obviously putting up a great season with 1,400 yards for the Tennessee Volunteers. I really like Dylan Sampson. I think he's the Lightning. I think he can be like the Jamar Gibbs to Joe Mixon's David Montgomery. I really think if you wanted to copy what the Lions were doing, you would go with Dylan Sampson. He would be my pick if you went ahead and you tried to pick up a running back in the second round. And if he falls to the third, man, I would love to move up from 79 to go pick up Dylan Sampson. And then look, the first round target, no question, is Amarian Hampton. Amarian Hampton being the most talented back in this class behind Ashton Genty. He's a 3-down back. He can do it all. Do you want to, that should say pick 25, by the way, first round. Do you want to spend pick 25 on a running back? That's the biggest question. In my opinion, he's definitely worth it. It goes against everything, when we talk about drafting needs. This is just best available, completely best available. I love Amarian Hampton. He will be an amazing running back in the NFL. I think for the Texans, it would be like eating your ice cream before your vegetables. 1,600 yards this year, 1,500 yards last year, 370 receiving this year. He's just elusive. He's amazing, dude. I love watching Amarian Hampton on the North Carolina Tar Heels. Again, 6'1", 220. If it wasn't for Genty, he'd be running back one, no question. So those are kind of some names I have if the Texans wanted to pick a running back early. But let me know what you guys think. Do you like the idea, or are you like, there's no way the Houston Texans are picking a running back? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one, man. Peace out.